Today we are going to watch episode 3. After running into Jae-kui in the crowded train, she spots a man's back with Shijen and immediately points him out to Jae-kui. Jae-kui quickly steps forward and grabs the man by the shoulder, but he freezes the moment he sees his face. This person is a long-lost old friend of his. Recovering from the shock, Jae-kui asks Lee-jun why he is with Shijen. Lee-jun teases Jae-kui back, pointing out that he is a full 10 years older than Jae-kui. Jae-kui wants to know how he has been all these years. In-chun realizes that their relationship is not ordinary, so she steps forward, grabs Lee-jun by the collar, and as the class teacher, demands news of Shijen. Lee-jun releases himself from her grip and explains that he is Shijen's biological brother, and Shijen came to Seoul specifically to meet him. Just as he finishes speaking, Shijen appears and confirms the truth of Lee-jun's words. Once it is confirmed to be a misunderstanding, Jae-kui sets off on the journey back to the city with In-chun and Han-ji. On the way, In-chun becomes curious and asks about the relationship between Jae-kui and Lee-jun. From their conversation, she realizes that there is an extraordinary past hidden between the two. In the past, Jae-kui and Lee-jun were classmates. There was no one to look after the infant Han-ji in the cradle, so Jae-kui was forced to bring the baby to school. Han-ji would suddenly cry out in class, disrupting the lesson. When Jae-kui was at a loss due to the teacher's scolding, Lee-jun stood up and gently calmed Han-ji down. Han-ji stopped crying shortly after, and Jae-kui was grateful for Lee-jun's help. That is how they became good friends. But for some unknown reason, they eventually became strangers, and Jae-kui never wants to say much about it. On the way back, Jae-kui notices that Han-ji is very tired and dozing off, so he decides to drive to a hotel, planning to stay the night and return to the city afterward. However, there was only one family room available at the hotel, which had a double bed and a single bed. Seeing flower petals arranged for lovers on the double bed, In-chun immediately brushes them off, insisting that she and Jae-kui are merely teacher and guardian. Jae-kui has a habit of exercising before bed, so he asks In-chun to hold his feet so he can do sit-ups. But just as he sits up, In-chun leans down to adjust her position. As a result, their faces accidentally come very close, their breaths mingle, and the atmosphere suddenly becomes warm and romantic. Unable to control his racing heart, Jae-kui turns away and goes to the gym, where he starts exercising frantically. Just then, In-chun sees Jae-kui's phone light up, displaying the caller ID that woman. She takes the phone to give it to Jae-kui. While walking past the swimming pool, she sees a child struggling in the water. Hearing In-chun scream, Jae-kui dives into the pool without hesitation to save the child. The child gets terrified seeing the large open-mouthed shark tattoo on Jae-kui's back and swims towards the edge. Jae-kui follows him and carries the child out of the water. Just then, the child's mother rushes in frantically, and the crying child complains that Jae-kui scared him. Without asking for any explanation, the mother slaps Jae-kui hard. This scene instantly reminds In-chun of her past. She, too, had once been slapped by a student's mother in front of everyone, accused of being a fox responsible for breaking up her family. She still hasn't forgotten the pain of that insult and false accusation. She does not want history to repeat itself with Jae-kui, so she stops the mother as she tries to leave, insisting that they check the CCTV footage to confirm whether Jae-kui was scaring the child or saving him. The footage clearly reveals the truth, and after confirming that Jae-kui had saved the child, the mother shamefully and sincerely apologizes to them both. Before going to sleep, Han-ji goes outside to take a call, leaving only In-chun and Jae-kui in the room. In-chun feels awkward, while Jae-kui looks at her with glowing eyes and praises her, saying she is truly beautiful, shining like a star. While In-chun blushes, Jae-kui explains that he was actually referring to the lights of the tower behind her, which look very beautiful. Embarrassed by her misunderstanding, In-chun bids Jae-kui goodnight and quietly lies down on the bed. Outwardly, it seemed like they were ignoring each other, but inside, their minds were in turmoil with thoughts of one another. Jae-kui was unsure if In-chun remembered him, while In-chun was hesitant about how much of their past Jae-kui recalled. Perhaps pretending to remember nothing would be best for her. The next day, In-chun suddenly runs into Jae-kui on her way to school. When Jae-kui mentions their overnight stay in Seoul, In-chun gets panicked. She lightly hits Jae-kui to warn him against saying nonsense, and then quickly flees to the office. A female teacher in the office overhears their conversation and advises In-chun not to get involved with someone like Jae-kui. She adds that she saw Jae-kui with a woman who was crying while talking to him about a child. Other teachers gather and start gossiping. They suggest that Jae-kui might not be Han Jae-ai's uncle, but rather the child's real father. The school director exaggerates further, claiming that Jae-kui reeks of lust and flirts with women everywhere, suggesting he has poor character. In-chun remembers the caller ID that woman on Jae-kui's phone at the hotel, and suspicion grows in her mind. Perhaps the woman her colleagues mentioned was the one who called Jae-kui. On her way home, In-chun is still conflicted about the matter. She keeps reminding herself that these are private matters and she has nothing to do with them. But the next moment, she sees Jae-kui trying to pry open a saw manhole cover in the pouring rain. In-chun steps forward to stop Jae-kui from damaging government property. Just then, she sees Jae-kui lifting an injured dog out of the saw. Jae-kui explains that this isn't his first encounter with the dog. Previously, during a landslide, the dog was buried, and he had rescued it. In-chun suddenly recalls a colleague mentioning she had seen Jae-kui digging a hole in the mountains and thought he was burying a body. Now she realizes Jae-kui was actually saving a life. They drive the dog to an animal hospital. The nurse on night duty was nodding off, but the moment she sees Jae-kui enter shirtless and muscular, she wakes up instantly and becomes alert. While waiting for the doctor, In-chun notices a large scar on Jae-kui's back and a distinct cut mark on his wrist. Noticing her gaze, Jae-kui subconsciously tries to hide the scars. In-chun comforts him, saying there is no need to hide the scars. Rather, they are proof that he has survived those difficult times. When the doctor arrives, he asks Jae-kui if he is the father. In-chun jumps in to explain that Jae-kui is the uncle, not the father. Seeing that Jae-kui is being misunderstood, In-chun urges him to clarify his identity to the doctor, but Jae-kui stands up and admits that he is indeed the father. Seeing In-chun's surprise, the doctor hands over the form he was holding. In-chun looks closely and sees that Jae-kui has written the dog's name as Han-ji. In the father's column, Jae-kui wrote his own name, and in the mother's column, he wrote In-chun's name. In-chun scolds Jae-kui for naming the dog Han-ji. Seizing the moment, Jae-kui jokingly suggests they name the dog Chuan-ji instead, to match In-chun's name. Afterward, they go to a restaurant where Jae-kui teases In-chun by calling her the child's mother in front of the owner, leading the owner to mistake them for a married couple. In-chun calmly handles the jokes from Jae-kui and the owner. Then, turning serious, she invites Jae-kui to meet privately the next day for a drink. Jae-kui becomes distracted at work, wondering why In-chun asked to meet him privately. A team member advises him that he can gauge In-chun's feelings by noticing small details, such as whether she dresses up for the meeting or smiles sweetly. If she puts effort into these small things, it means she is interested in him. The next day, Jae-kui arrives at the meeting place ahead of schedule. From a distance, he sees In-chun approaching in a beautiful dress instead of her usual plain clothes, clearly proving she has dressed up for him. While eating, In-chun feeds roasted meat to Jae-kui without any hesitation. This intimate behavior surprises Jae-kui even more when In-chun stands up to tie his apron, showing no objection to being close to him. Jae-kui feels these signs clearly indicate that In-chun likes him. After the meal, he gathers his courage and asks if she likes him, and In-chun says yes. This is where the episode ends. For the next episode, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.